I never expected a laugh to freeze in disbelief when I heard her perfect German. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It started as a sunny afternoon, laughter bubbling in the park, the air fragrant with spring flowers. I stood there, heart racing, trapped between disbelief and curiosity. Her voice broke through the crowd, harmonizing with the chirps of birds, crisp and clear. "We get S," she exclaimed, and just like that, the noise around us faded. I wasn't prepared for the clarity of her words, mixed with an accent so immaculate it felt unreal. Everyone turned. There was a collective hush, as if the universe paused to witness this strange twist of fate. How could someone with a smile that bright speak like that? Her skin glowed in the sunlight, hair cascading in waves, but it wasn't her beauty capturing attention, it was the mystery behind her. What was she doing here, in this mundane park? I wanted to know. I needed to know. My friends had already pulled away, too engrossed in their own conversations, but I stood frozen. The air was electric, a tingling awareness flaring deep within me. It was then I spotted her companion. An older man, dressed in a dark jacket, watching her with intense eyes. Something about him sent a chill down my spine. His presence felt ominous, like shadows lurking behind a sunny image. Just as I took a step closer to overhear, I felt the weight of a stare from across the lawn. Heart pounding, I glanced around. An older woman, wrinkled and wise, shook her head. I could hear her mutter, "It's not safe. You shouldn't." But what did she know? What danger could a laugh pose? The tension ballooned as I watched the scene unfold. The girl laughed again, bright and infectious. Yet, my gut twisted with unease. This wasn't some casual gathering, it was something more profound. There was a signature in her laughter, something like the echo of secrets buried deep in her past. Suddenly, the man moved. With a swift yet deliberate stride, he pulled her away, words muttering like a threatening wind. I could barely catch what he said. "We must go." The finality of his tone sent a quiver up my spine. Panic ignited within me. I didn't know why, but I needed to follow them. I ran, fueled by adrenaline, heart racing as I pushed through the crowd, each person oblivious to the peculiar drama unfurling. I had to know, who was she? Why did I feel this strange connection? My breath quickened, matching the rhythm of my pounding heart. Would she look back? The answer echoed in my mind as I darted through strangers, all blurring into a sea of faces. Just when I thought I might call out, a deafening clap of thunder cracked the sky. A storm? No one had seen it coming. The manic laughter shifted to gasps, and, in that moment, chaos erupted. The sweet scent of flowers was replaced by the sharp scent of earth before rain would come pouring down. That I lost sight of her. As the heavens opened up above, drenching everyone, I felt a sinking sensation in my chest. I scanned the frantically moving group, drenched and panicked. My heart raced, a mix of fear and determination churning inside me. Where had they gone? I looked around, lost in a downpour, uncertain of what to do next. What secret had I just stumbled upon? I felt a bitter chill whispering through my bones. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The rain beat down, each droplet heavy with the weight of my anguish. I tried to push through the sea of panicked faces, my eyes scanning desperately for a glimpse of the girl in the park. I could feel the cold seep through my clothes, but it was the gnawing feeling in my chest that chilled me to the bone. She had vanished, swept away by the relentless storm, and with her, the vibrant laughter that had captivated me. "Hey! Are you alright?" A voice cut through the chaos. I turned to see a boy, no older than me, his expression mingling concern with confusion. He was drenched, hair plastered to his forehead, golden drops tracing paths down his cheeks. I barely registered his question before I shook my head, the knot of anxiety tightening. I couldn't explain, couldn't articulate what had happened. I saw someone, I stuttered, my voice cracking under the weight of urgency. A girl. I think she's in trouble. I know it's scary, but there's nothing we can do now. He glanced around, his eyes wide under the torrential onslaught. Just stay close. We'll figure it out. A sense of comfort flickered for a moment, but it was swallowed by the rain's wrath. As thunder echoed through the sky, I felt the impulse to find her pull at me with an unyielding grip. No. I have to find her, I insisted. Before I could protest further, the boy grabbed my arm, his grip firm yet friendly. You need to think straight. We can't just run blindly into the storm. Look. He pointed to a small group near a building across the park, huddled under the awning, seeking shelter. Let us go. At least it's better than being out here. I hesitated, the fear of losing her again weighing heavily on my mind. But the reality was harsh. I couldn't keep searching in this downpour. Reluctantly, I nodded, allowing him to lead me through the torrential storm, raindrops still drumming against my thoughts, my yearning to help her fueling each step. Once under the awning, I pushed hair out of my eyes and squinted into the chaos of rain. The group around me was a mix of familiar faces and strangers. I could barely focus on their chatter, their worries becoming mumbles in my mind. All I could think about was her, who she was, and what dark cloud loomed over her laughter. Are you okay? The boy asked again, his voice more gentle this time. You're shaking. I'm fine, I lied. I was numb, shaking from more than just the cold. Anxiety gnawed at my insides, making it difficult to catch my breath. It's just she might be in danger. You cared about her that much after just a few minutes? He asked, blinking in disbelief. But there was a glimmer of understanding in his eyes, a kindness in his stance that made me realize he was trying to help, not judge. When I heard her voice, it resonated so deeply. I can't simply let her go like this. It was as if a dam inside me hadn't just broken, it had shattered into pieces. I blinked against the rain, fighting emotions that threatened to spill over. She feels what? He leaned closer, earnest. What does she feel? Like hope, I managed, tears mingling with the rain on my cheeks. Like she's tied to something bigger. But then that man came. The boy's expression shifted from curiosity to alarm. The man in the jacket? Yes. He was watching her so intently, like a predator. Wait, he started, and for a moment, I lost myself in those bright, sincere eyes. What if I know who he is? My heart halted, a cold fist curled around my chest. What do you mean? Promise me you're going to stay calm. There was an urgency to his voice, an intensity behind his words that sent a jolt down my spine. This is more serious than I thought. I've seen him at the community center. He's not just some guy, he's been in trouble. Trouble? Yeah. Allegations of. He paused, glancing to the side as if afraid someone might overhear. No way to confirm, but it sounds like he's manipulating people. Young girls mostly. It's all whispers, but there's something off about him. My heart raced, disgust and fear twisting together. Anger bubbled beneath my skin. She had become a nameless girl caught in a storm of danger that I couldn't even comprehend. Do you think he took her? I breathed, the implications heavy. I don't know, but we can't let him take anyone else. I locked eyes with him, desperation fueling my next words. What do we do? Before he could answer, a distant flash of light lit up the park, cutting through the gray cloud gloom. But it wasn't lightning. Look! I shouted, pointing toward the direction where the girl had vanished. It was a car, its headlights cutting through the rain, gliding down the storm-soaked path. He's leaving. I screamed, adrenaline surging through my veins. We have to stop him. We bolted out from under the awning, racing against the storm toward the road, a chaotic mixture of fear and determination propelling us forward. My heart beat wildly against my chest as we sprinted, every step ringing with urgency. But just as we reached the road, my stomach twisted into knots. I watched the car brake, tires screeching against the slick pavement. Then the engine roared to life, and, before I even had the chance to gasp, it sped away into the darkness of the night, taking her with it. I felt my legs buckle, the weight of hopelessness crashing down like the torrential rain surrounding me. I stood there, gasping for breath, heartbroken and terrified, words caught in my throat. Through the deluge, one question echoed: had I lost her forever? My heart hammered in my chest, each beat mocking the desperate silence that enveloped me. The car had vanished, swallowed whole by the storm, just like the girl I had only glimpsed for a fraction of a sunrise. My mind whirled, grasping for clarity in this tempest of dread. What could I do now? The boy next to me stood frozen, his face flushed with panic. We can't just let this go, he urged, his voice tight with determination. A light flickered in his blue eyes, daring to hope against the raging storm of despair. We need to report it. We have to tell someone. Who is going to believe us? I shot back, bitterness leaking into my tone. The gravity of my own helplessness settled on my shoulders, heavy and suffocating. She's gone, and we're just standing here. What difference does it stop? He snapped, his sudden fervor catching me off guard. We're not out of options yet. Just think. There must be someone we can trust. Someone who can help. As he spoke, I couldn't shake the image of the girl from my mind, the bright smile that ignited the dullness around her. I recalled the warmth of her laughter and the connection that had sparked between us, as swift as lightning. Yet now, she felt like smoke slipping through my fingers. Okay, I said, swallowing my frustration. You're right. But who? Do you have someone in mind? The community center, he suggested after a moment of deliberation. If that man has been lurking around there, maybe someone there knows something. They might even have a record of him. Come on. We raced back through the rain, feet splashing through puddles, the cool water leaping up around us as we moved. With every step toward the community center, my trepidation felt like molten lead, pulling me deeper into an abyss of fear. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was chasing shadows, and my heart sank as I feared I might end up empty-handed. As we reached the center, the sight of its floodlit exterior offered a flicker of hope against the torrential backdrop. We pushed through the doors, a warm gust of air enveloping us, but even that couldn't warm the icy fear gnawing at my insides. The bustling space was a reprieve from the storm outside, filled with life, laughter, and the faint scent of coffee mingling with the lingering dampness of the rain. Where do we start? I whispered, scanning the room filled with familiar faces, each buzzing with their concerns, unaware of the darker tempest looming beneath the surface. There, he said, nodding toward a corner where an older woman sat diligently at a desk, her glasses perched precariously on her nose. Mrs. Jennings runs the place. If anyone knows something, it's her. Taking a deep breath, I approached her with trembling hands. Excuse me, Mrs. Jennings. My voice wavered, my heart racing as if trying to escape. She looked up, her serene gaze illuminated by the overhead lights. Yes, dear. How can I help you? She asked, her tone soft and inviting. Yet anxiety drilled through me, and I struggled to form the words. There's someone, a girl, I stammered, the weight of urgency pressing down. I think she might be in trouble. Oh no. Her eyes widened, concern flooding her features. What happened? Can you tell me more? I relayed the events that had unfolded, my words tumbling out in a chaotic rush as I tried to capture the essence of everything I felt. The boy stood close by, offering support with a reassuring nod when I faltered. But Mrs. Jennings wasn't just listening, she was absorbing every detail, her expression shifting from sympathy to alarm. All right, We need to act quickly, she said decisively, rising from her chair. I know our community liaison, he's on duty today. If this is as serious as you say, we need to get the police involved right away. Just then, a flicker passed across her face, shadowed by a moment's hesitation. But you need to understand, sometimes these matters take time, and we can't jump to conclusions without evidence. Evidence? Panic surged within me. She's not just a statistic. She's a person, and if we wait, it might be too late. My voice cracked under the weight of desperation, anger coursing through my veins. Calm down, dear, she soothed, a slight tremor in her voice. Let's just make sure we do it right. At that moment, the boy nudged me gently, pointing to a bulletin board plastered with flyers and notices. Look! He exclaimed, excitement creeping into his tone. There's a community safety meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Maybe there's something there. Someone might have seen something. As my eyes scanned the board, I felt a rush of mixed emotions and unsettling recognition tugged at me as I noticed a flyer featuring a photo of the man in the jacket, alongside a few others. Beneath it read the words, Community Outreach, Protecting Our Youth. My heart sank as realization dawned, we weren't the only ones aware of this ominous figure. I turned to the boy, panic flaring in my chest. What if he's already watching? What if he knows she's missing? Before I could voice another fear, the center's doors swung open, and a gust of wind rushed through, bringing with it a chilling sense of foreboding. A figure stood in the entrance, silhouetted against the storm light. I squinted, heart climbing into my throat as the recognition hit me like a punch in the gut. It was him, the man from the park, his coat dripping with rain, eyes sharp like shards of ice. Every instinct screamed for me to run, but it was too late. He stepped inside, glancing purposefully around the room, locking eyes with mine, as a sinister smile crept across his face. Fear rooted me to the floor. All the while, the storm outside roared louder, echoing my turmoil. My thoughts raced, but my courage faltered. I didn't know how we would escape this moment, this terrifying encounter that felt like the eye of a storm, and I recognized in a chilling instant that whatever happened next would change everything. The air grew thick with an unspoken dread, each heartbeat a reminder of my vulnerability. The man's piercing gaze held a chilling power, as if he could unravel my every secret with a single glance. Good evening, everyone, he announced, his voice fluid and calm, the wind outside howling in stark contrast to his eerie composure. He moved deeper into the community center, his steps measured, deliberate. I trust you're all keeping safe in this weather. The warmth we had felt just moments before began to ebb away, replaced by an icy undercurrent. I felt the boy beside me stiffen, his body tense like a coiled spring ready to snap. We need to leave, he whispered urgently, but the words barely grasped my consciousness. All eyes turned to the man as he approached Mrs. Jennings, flashing a predatory smile. Mrs. Jennings, isn't it? Such a lovely place you have here, he said, leaning against her desk with an air of familiarity that felt invasive. I couldn't discern if it was charming or sinister. Yes, thank you, she replied, her demeanor shifting between cordiality and palpable discomfort. What brings you here on such a dreadful night? Just checking in on the community, ensuring everyone feels safe. He paused, deliberately casting a glance toward us, his eyes narrowing as he recognized the tension in the air. Especially the young ones. They're so impressionable, aren't they? I felt heat rush to my cheeks, a reaction that tinged my fear with something sharper anger. Who was this man to insinuate anything about us? He was not welcome, yet there he stood, as if claiming dominion over our fears. Actually, Mrs. Jennings started slowly, gauging the atmosphere, we were just discussing some safety concerns. There's been an incident, he cut her off, his tone suddenly sharp. I'm sure everything is under control, isn't it? There's no reason to involve others. The crowd's unease deepened, whispers scattering like autumn leaves in the wind. My instinct screamed at me to act. No. I protested, stepping forward, unable to keep silent any longer. You don't know what you're talking about. People need to know there's a threat. We're not safe. Sweetheart, he chuckled, a smooth, low sound that held no warmth. You're not in charge here. You're far too young to be making such extravagant claims. Anger flared inside me, igniting a flicker of bravery. You're the one who should be worried. People deserve to know about you. His smile widened, a flash of something sharp glimmering in his eyes. Novel idea, he mused, tilting his head as if weighing my words. But accusations are a dangerous game, especially when you're standing in a room full of people who might not share your views. I felt my pulse pound in my ears. A silence descended, heavy and suffocating. The boy slipped his hand into mine, squeezing it tight, grounding me amidst the storm of anxiety swirling around us. The man's gaze never wavered, a predator sizing up his prey. The atmosphere crackled with an uncertainty that left everyone poised for what would come next. Just then, an elderly gentleman from the back of the room rose to his feet, his voice trembling yet resolute. This isn't right, we have a responsibility to protect each other. If there is someone in the community causing fear, we need to stand together. A murmur of agreement swept through the room, the spark igniting a flame of courage that spread quickly. I caught Mrs. Jennings' eye, and for the first time since he entered, I saw a shift in her demeanor. I agree, she spoke firmly, her voice rising above the discord. Let us not allow fear to silence us. The man's demeanor changed in an instant. He straightened, tension rippling through his body like a storm gathering strength. Is that how you want to play this? Children spreading rumors out of fear? His tone turned icy, dark shadows creeping into his expression. What a shame, because it would be unfortunate for something to happen to anyone who might speak out. My heart dropped, a sickening feeling pooling in the pit of my stomach. I exchanged a hurried glance with the boy, whose eyes mirrored my fear. What does he mean? I whispered, but the man's eyes locked onto mine again, and he leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice as though sharing a secret meant only for me. You think you're brave enough to fight against darkness, don't you? But bravery often comes at a price. Let us hope you and your little friend are willing to pay it. Before I could respond, the doors burst open again, and a frantic figure rushed in, a woman, her face drenched with worry and urgency. I've been looking for you, I couldn't find you. They're saying she's missing. The sentence hung in the air, its weight suffocating. Gasps arose in the room, and chaos erupted as people began to turn toward one another, the prior tension morphing into frantic concern. The man's smile faded, his attention suddenly shifting to the newcomer. I was frozen, a torrent of fear and uncertainty crashing around me. The boy held my hand tighter, squeezing it as if hoping to tether us to the ground amid the storm of confusion. In that moment, caught in the balance between hope and despair, a chilling realization hit me with the force of a tidal wave: there was no going back now. The storm was here to stay, and there were secrets in its depths that threatened everything I cared about. Just around the corner, unseen dangers lurked. The battle was only beginning, and I didn't know if I was strong enough to face it as I caught a glimpse of the man's shadow retreating into the chaos. A shiver of foreboding swept through me. Tomorrow's meeting suddenly felt less like a chance for safety and more like an impending reckoning. And in that moment, I understood that the girl I had tried to save wasn't the only one in peril. We all were. The tension in the community center held the air thick, as if the walls themselves were mourning the secrets trapped within. Whispers and frantic conversations filled the room, swirling into a cacophony that drowned out the cold wind howling outside. My thoughts raced as I tried to process the woman's shocking announcement: a girl was missing. Each heartbeat echoed an unfamiliar rhythm of dread that thudded against my chest. The elderly gentleman who had spoken out earlier turned to the newcomer, his brow furrowed with concern. Who is missing? Do you know her name? Have you reported this to the police? His voice rose above the chaos, projecting strength in a moment of panic. The woman's response was strained, a whirlwind of worry that pierced through the room's clamor. No, not yet. I thought I'd find her here. Lucy, she was supposed to be with friends. She hasn't been seen since this afternoon. Lucy. The name clawed at my mind, dragging forth memories of laughter and the warm bond of friendship. I felt the boy beside me tighten his grip, his presence a steady reminder that I wasn't alone in this chaos. My heart quaked as I considered the ramifications of her absence, each possibility more terrible than the last. The man, once a figure of intimidation, now seemed to shrink back into the shadows, his smile squashed under the weight of the room's new turmoil. His cool detachment was gradually replaced by something unrecognizable, a flicker of concern or perhaps annoyance. As he observed the frantic gathering, his eyes narrowed, calculating the crowd's fracture beneath the pressure of fear that I barely registered. Mrs. Jennings rising to her feet, her voice now full of urgency. Everyone, we need to calm down and think clearly. I want everyone to stay here. We can't risk anyone getting hurt in the storm or wandering off. Let us focus on finding Lucy. The crowd began to murmur in agreement, some faces etched in determination, others marred by anxiety. I looked over at the boy, worries etched across his brow. What if she's out there alone, scared? I whispered, my voice trembling. His gaze faltered, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his usually steadfast features. We have to do something, he replied, though his voice lacked conviction. But what? We can't leave here, not with him around. The man's presence loomed over our conversation, an ominous reminder of the threat he represented. But I couldn't shake the feeling that Lucy's disappearance connected to him somehow, an invisible thread pulling tighter as the night deepened. If we don't act now, it might be too late. I insisted, desperate to find a spark of courage amid the darkness. Then, from the back of the room, a soft voice broke through the agitation. I heard her earlier. She was heading toward the old playground by the creek. It was a shy girl, barely tall enough to see over the chairs, but her resolve carried strength. The room fell silent again, all eyes turning to her. Lucy mentioned something about the swings. She wanted to see if they were still there. The idea took root in my mind like a wildflower breaking through cracked concrete. The playground was exposed, open to the winds and shadows that danced between the trees. But it was also a place filled with memories, laughter echoing off the swings that had once been our sanctuary. I could not let fear consume me when another soul, one of us, was in peril. Let us go, I urged. We can't wait around. We should split into groups. Someone needs to check the playground. We can leave messages here in case she comes back. The urgency of my words began to galvanize the crowd. Even the elderly gentleman nodded, a newfound determination in his eyes. I'll take a group to the playground. We need to bring flashlights, he called out. As people started organizing, I turned to the boy, and his eyes met mine, a flicker of resolve igniting within the storm of our fear. I'll come with you, he stated, his voice steadier than before. We can't just sit here. But before we could move to gather supplies, the atmosphere shifted abruptly. The man stepped forward, a grimace overtaking his features. And just where do you think you're going? The storm outside is more dangerous than you realize. We're safer in here. A ripple of unease coursed through the crowd. What was he trying to achieve? The darkness in the room thickened, forcing me to fight against a rising tide of uncertainty. I felt the determination slip as doubt took root, whispering that maybe he was right, that stepping into the storm's embrace would only bring more chaos. Suddenly, the innocent voice of the girl who had spoken earlier sounded again, breaking my thoughts. But Lucy needs us. She stepped forward, eyes wide with conviction. We can't just stay here and pretend everything is fine when she might be in trouble. That's enough. The man was surprisingly firm, his voice cutting through the growing din. You're all overreacting. You don't know what you're facing out there. His declaration sparked a wave of defiance within me. And you don't know if she's out there alone. I snapped back. The boy's hand found mine again, squeezing it tight as my anxiety churned within. Amidst the cacophony of dissent and diminishing hope, I felt something shift deep within me, a determination to push through fear and confront whatever darkness loomed outside. I glanced at the boy, our eyes locking in silent agreement that we would not let fear paralyze us. We stormed out, but just before leaving, I caught the man's eyes, a steely resolve simmering beneath my bravado. In that moment, I understood, what lay beyond those doors was more than just a storm, it was a critical juncture in my life. As I stepped outside into the raging winds and pouring rain, a chilling thought struck me, perhaps Lucy wasn't the only one missing. With every step into the tempest, layers of uncharted fears unfurled before me, whispering that some secrets and some people would not be found easily. The storm's roar engulfed our voices, pushing us deeper into the shadows of the night. Rain lashed across my face like 1,000 icy fingers, each drop an echo of the uncertainty we faced. The boy and I moved as a unit through the downpour, barely managing to keep pace with the flares of hope mingling with the constant dread that hung heavy in the air. The old playground lay in wait just ahead, a silhouette barely recognizable against the stormy backdrop. We navigated through the gnarled trees that lined the path, their branches twisting like distressed fingers reaching out for salvation. Each creak of wood made my heart flutter, reminding me of all the adventures we shared, their adolescent laughter under the summer sun, secrets whispered between swings. "Are you sure this is where she went?" the boy asked, his cautious optimism threading through his words. He glanced around, searching the shadows for any sign of life. "I hope so," I replied, desperation creeping into my voice. "It's south, the last place I could imagine her being." As we approached the swings, I felt an overwhelming swell of nostalgia. Every creak of the chains was a reminder of the warmth and camaraderie we once had, tethered to the laughter that used to fill this space. But now, darkness seeped into our memories, twisting them into palpable fears. We reached the swings, and my heart sank. Empty. The wind howled, pulling at my shirt, whispering doubts that gnawed at the edges of my resolve. "Lucy!" I shouted, though it felt futile against the storm. "Are you here?" There was no answer but the rain, drumming on the ground like a funeral march. I turned to the boy, his expression a mixture of worry and indecision. "Maybe we should split up," I suggested, my voice barely cutting through the wind. "You take the path toward the creek, I'll check the gazebo." His eyes widened, the weight of the proposition choking off any initial agreement. "Are you really suggesting we separate? What if something happens?" My heart ached at the thought, but there was urgency coursing through me. "If we're going to find her, we have to cover more ground. Just promise you won't go too far. You'll call for me if you see anything, right?" His nod felt reluctant, but it was enough. "Okay. Just don't take too long." I hesitated, wanting to imprint this moment in my mind. The boy, shivering but daring, pushing through his own fears. We shared one last look before breaking apart, the storm swallowing our words and intentions whole. That I made my way to the gazebo, half-formed thoughts battling for dominance in my mind. What would happen if I didn't find her? What if we were too late? Each worry weighed heavier than the previous, and as I reached the structure, I was met with the sight of a shadow pinched between the wood. "Lucy!" I called, hoping against instinct that it could be her. The shadow shifted, and my heart slammed against my ribs as a figure materialized in the dim light of my flashlight. "It's not her." Fumbling with the beam, I found myself staring into the eyes of someone I had never seen before, their expression shifting from surprise to fierce guardedness in an instant. "Who are you?" the stranger demanded, voice rough against the storm. "I'm looking for Lucy. Have you seen her?" My words sprang forth in desperation, clinging to the hope that maybe this person had information. The stranger hesitated, the flicker of doubt rooted deep in their gaze. "I don't know any Lucy, but you shouldn't be out here. It's not safe. Neither is she. Please, we have to find her." The urgency in my chest swelled as I implored the stranger to understand. The figure stepped closer, finally dropping the pretense of intimidation. "Listen, if Lucy is in trouble, we have to go now. There's no time to waste." "Then help me," I urged, throwing caution to the wind. With an unexpected nod, the stranger gestured toward the wooded trail just beyond the gazebo. "I know a shortcut through the trees." Follow me. Without a second thought, I plunged into the darkness behind them, every moment amplifying the echo of Lucy's name in my heart. The wind howled, but I felt a glimmer of hope flickering at the edge of despair. As we forged deeper into the forest, I called out to the boy through the rain and thunder, hoping our paths would converge soon. But just as doubt crept into my mind, a chilling scream pierced through the cacophony, knitting itself into the fabric of the storm. Lucy! I shouted once more, panic surging through me, but it wasn't just a name that reverberated back from the trees, it was an unmistakable sound of anguish that clawed at my chest, raw and visceral. The stranger hesitated for a brief moment before urging me on. We need to hurry. With renewed determination, my heart raced as I pressed on, the storm swirling around us like a cyclone threatening to tear down everything in its wake. But just as we emerged into a small clearing, I caught a flicker of movement, a flash of white among the shadows that I was in that moment, standing at the precipice of uncertainty and hope, that the truth landed with a sickening thud in my stomach. This was no ordinary storm. As my heart skipped a beat, I realized with dawning horror that we might be racing against more than just the elements. Somewhere in that abyss of uncertainty, among the whispers of the storm, lurked not just Lucy's safety, but secrets that thrived in the darkness, threatening to unravel everything I thought I knew. The clearing opened up like a punctured wound in the storm's intensity, and as the figure fell away from my side, I felt the air shift around me, laden with an unspeakable dread. I moved forward, straining my eyes against the swirling darkness, the haunting sound of Lucy's cries still echoing, curling around my heart like a vice. Lucy! I shouted again, desperation gnawing at the edges of my resolve. I was met only by the wind's howling response. My flashlight flickered, casting erratic shadows that danced grotesquely across the thick underbrush. The girl I once knew was out there, somewhere, in peril, and all I had left to tether my spiraling fear were fragments of memories, her laughter flowing like light through even the darkest of times. Panic surged as I moved deeper into the underbrush, pushing aside branches that clawed at my skin. The stranger's footsteps faded slightly behind me, trailing like an unwelcome remnant of doubt. With each step, the darkness curled around me tighter, reminding me of secrets best left unearthed. I could sense that the storm was more than merely a tempest, it was a harbinger of something darker, unforgiving and relentless. Wait! I heard the stranger call out, but I didn't stop. I had to find Lucy, my heart wouldn't let me pause even for a moment. She needed me. Just then, a flash of lightning lit up the world, revealing a dilapidated shed obscured by thick vines and darkness. The door hung precariously on its rusted hinges, an invitation or a warning I couldn't tell. Without deliberation, I pushed my way inside. A crushing silence enveloped me, broken only by the rhythm of raindrops tapping against the roof, the sound hauntingly similar to a heartbeat. Lucy! My voice was a hoarse whisper, swallowed by the void around me. That I stepped further into the shed, my flashlight beam trembling against the walls. There were remnants of old tools, forgotten memories of work and rest long past, rusting and decaying. My breath caught when I spotted something on the floor, a crumpled piece of fabric, recognizable as Lucy's favorite scarf, its vibrant colors dulled by time and grime. It lay beside a trace of deep red, splattered against the wood like the remnants of a fading dream. No, I gasped, crushing the scarf in my fists, a wave of despair crashing over me. My mind raced with the implications, every thought darkening until it felt too heavy to bear. Did frightful events transpire here? The thought gnawed at my gut, pulling me into a whirlpool of anguish. Hey! The stranger's voice pulled me back to the moment, echoing through the stillness of the shed. We don't have much time, we need to go. I looked up, blinking away a wave of tears, anguish melting into fury. You don't understand. Lucy could be hurt. She was here. It's not safe, they urged, their voice tight with urgency, but I refused to listen. Driven by some primal instinct, I sifted through the debris, scanning every inch for more clues, more pieces of her presence. Suddenly, my flashlight flickered again and illuminated something else, a scraggly backpack, caked in mud but unmistakably hers, abandoned as if it were thrown away, carrying all her dreams and hopes. A bitter reminder of how quickly things could fall apart that I clutched the backpack tightly, feeling the worn fabric beneath my fingers, anchoring me to the reality of Lucy's existence. "We have to find her," I yelled desperately, ready to charge back into the storm, but the stranger's alarmed gaze pierced through my moment of frantic despair. "We're not alone." Their voice held a note of urgency that bridged the distance between us, forcing me to confront the perils lurking in the shadows. Before I could ask for clarification, a low growl reverberated through the air, sending chills racing up my spine. The storm grew louder outside, thunder crashing like an ominous drumroll, but that sound, the growl, was primal and eerily close. Fear clutched my heart with icy fingers. "Run!" the stranger shouted as they bolted for the door, dragging me along with them, my mind still wrestling with disbelief. Adrenaline surged as we sprinted into the night, the growl deepening, dark shapes flitting between the tree trunks in our periphery that I and the chorus of the rain. Panic blurred my thoughts as I grasped the backpack tighter against my chest. And then, ahead through the tempest, something caught my eye, a flash of white that could only be hope, flickering against insurmountable odds. "Lucy!" I screamed again, drawing strength from the bond that would not let go. Then I saw her, standing in a small puddle of eerie light, her back turned toward me. As I lunged forward, my heart soaring with anticipation as realization settled. The world seemed to slow, occupying the space between breaths, as I surveyed what lay before me. She turned, and in that moment, my heart froze with disbelief. Lucy's expression, one of despair tinged with unfathomable recognition. The storm roared around us, but I knew it was only the beginning. Everything I thought I understood about our world and her teetered on the edge of chaos, waiting for the storm to reveal its true nature. Raindrops drummed against the ground like a symphony of despair, and the world around us blurred, drenched in shadows and unfiltered emotion. Lucy stood before me, her figure outlined in the faint silver glow of an unseen light. A chill ran down my spine as I absorbed the gravity of her gaze. There was a distance in her eyes, one that shattered the warmth of who she used to be. "Lucy, it's me. It's Jason!" I screamed, the wind whipping my words away before they could settle around us. But she didn't move. She only stared, as if she were caught in the thick web of a memory that was too painful to unravel. "Why did you come back?" Her voice, once so familiar, now carried the weight of despair, tinged with something I couldn't name. Fear? Regret? Heartache? "I had to find you." I reached out, desperate to bridge the gap that had widened between us. "You disappeared." "I thought you shouldn't have come," she interrupted, shaking her head slowly. "It's not safe here, Jason. You don't understand." The wind howled as though it understood the depths of our chaos, and I felt the weight of uncertainty crashing down upon me. She seemed almost ethereal, caught somewhere between the girl I loved and the stranger who stood before me, cloaked in shadows. A flicker of something unrecognizable lingered in her gaze, something that pushed me to question everything. "Why are you here, Lucy?" "You need to come with me," I pleaded, inching closer, trying to make sense of this surreal moment. The shadows around her flickered like a mirage, but as I reached for her, the low growl returned, deeper and more menacing. Panic crackled in the air, and suddenly her expression shifted, a mixture of fear and determination. "You need to leave. Now." "Leave?" My voice broke. "I'm not leaving you." Behind Lucy, more shadows stirred ominously, coalescing into indistinct forms that swirled like smoke. I could feel a primal fear creeping in, crawling under my skin, but my heart wouldn't let me turn away. "Not from her, not from this moment." "Jason," she said softly, her voice barely rising above the fury of the storm. "You have to trust me. This isn't just a storm. It's something much worse, and I can't explain now, there's no time." Thunder jagged across the sky, illuminating her once again, but this time I noticed the small but persistent tremble of her hands. My heart ached at the sight of my Lucy in distress, looking more like a shattered reflection of the fierce girl I once knew. And then, she stepped back, as if distancing herself from whatever unfathomable choice lay ahead. "You need to go. It's not safe for you." Even as she spoke, the air crackled with something dark, something undeniably foreboding. A low growl erupted again, closer this time, carrying with it the scent of danger. I couldn't let her face this alone, no matter how much she pushed me away. "Lucy!" I yelled, stepping forward despite her retreat. "Whatever's out there, we can face it together. I'll protect you, I promise." But as the shadows grew nearer, a shape lunged from the darkness, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. Lucy's face drained of color, and the moment stretched agonizingly before us like an unrelenting wave. "Run!" she screamed, her voice cracking as she instinctively pushed me away, and for the first time, I felt a flicker of pure fear from her, raw and desperate. I stumbled back, caught off guard, as she turned to confront the danger. My heart raced and split, torn between fleeing from the horror closing in and the instinct to stay and fight alongside her. The creature lunged, teeth glinting like daggers, and Lucy's gaze met mine just as she pivoted, the tumult of regret and courage colliding in her eyes. She reached for something on her belt, a small blade that glimmered with an undeniable promise of defiance before vanishing into the storm's fury. Fear seized my heart as the shadows swallowed her form, drowning her in darkness. The world twisted around me, my legs rooted in fear, panic clawing at my throat. In that moment, I heard her voice, an echo of perfect German, wrapped around me like an unexpected embrace. "Vertrau mir." Trust me, but trust crumbled as what lay ahead unfolded. The haunting growl of the creature filled the air, blending with the rolling thunder, and as I took a step toward Lucy, an unexpected sense of hope flared within me. But suddenly, a flash of recognition plunged me into uncertainty. The remnants of her backpack lay forgotten beneath the shadows, the weight of its secrets pressing heavily behind me. What had she hidden away from me? What was this world that enveloped her, weaving shadows into every breath we shared? Lost in turmoil, the truth loomed ahead, one which I wouldn't grasp until it was almost too late. The darkness pulsated, ready to reveal its secrets, and as I reached for the backpack, the growl shifted, morphing into something vile, a sound that sent chills racing up my back. The storm surged, and with it, a realization dawned. In her perfect German, those two words transformed into a question that would change everything: trust me or the storm will consume us both. And I finally knew it wasn't just about the shadows lurking outside, it was about the shadows within my heart, where Lucy's secrets waited to explode into the unforgiving light of truth. The storm bore down on me, relentless and unyielding, as I stood frozen, clutching the weathered backpack that belonged to Lucy. In that moment, a whirlwind of memories cascaded through my mind, the laughter, the stolen glances, the whispered dreams, all overshadowed now by this darker reality. The backpack felt alive in my grasp, a vessel of all the things left unsaid and countless secrets buried within that. I dropped to my knees, the raindrops drenching me, mingling with the salt of my tears. I hesitated before unzipping it, as if fearing the revelation it might hold. A flash of fleeting warmth rushed through me, a reminder of times when Lucy's laughter had filled the air, transforming ordinary moments into treasures. I wanted that innocence back. I wanted her back, but I needed to know what I was up against. As the zipper slid down, my breath caught tight within my chest. Inside lay a tangle of papers, hastily stuffed and dampened by the rain. My fingers danced across the fragile pages, revealing hastily drawn symbols and scrawled notes, excerpts about ancient lore, warnings about darkness lurking beyond the veil of our world, and references to a tempest that seemed far too real now. One note gripped at my heart, its sentence etched in a language I had never seen, but the urgency of its tone struck deep. It screamed of threats meant for her, secrets that had cast her into this storm, just as I immersed myself deeper into the world she had fled from. The growl that had slumbered for a moment erupted again, closer, more ferocious, shaking the very ground beneath me. Panic surged through me like electricity. I quickly tucked the pages back into the bag, gathering what clarity I had left that I didn't have time to process everything. I needed Lucy. I needed suddenly, an unexpected flicker of warmth wrapped around me like a woolen blanket on a winter night. It was a fleeting moment, but one filled with undeniable kindness. I turned to see an unsettling figure difficult to decipher through the thrashing rain, but the silhouette, a tall woman with an aura of grace, extended her hand toward me through the storm. "Boy, you shouldn't be here," she murmured, her voice cutting through the chaos like a lighthouse beam in fog. Despite the urgency of her warning, a peculiar calmness radiated from her being. "You need to listen. This storm is not just the weather, it's a cycle which has begun again. Then help me save her," I pleaded, my heart twisting in my chest as I glanced back to the shadows where Lucy had vanished. "Please." Her expression softened momentarily, flickering between pity and understanding. "The danger to her runs far deeper than mere shadows. You must tread carefully, trust your instincts." And with that, she slipped back into the tempest, leaving behind an inexplicable sense of hope tinged with uncertainty. I returned my focus to the backpack, the weight of Lucy's secrets pressing down on me. But before I had committed to gleaning any further insight, a clawed shadow burst from the darkness with a feral snarl that shattered the night. The creature lunged, and adrenaline surged through me like a wildfire. I dove to the side, narrowly evading its maw, which snapped closed only inches from my face. Heart pounding, I rolled to my feet, gripping the straps of the backpack as if it were my last lifeline. "Lucy!" I shouted again, choking back the tide of despair threatening to engulf me. "Where are you?" Through the downpour and chaos, time stretched infinitely. I fumbled blindly ahead, the growls morphing into a symphony of confusion, as primal instincts clawed at my thoughts. In this moment of chaos, a glimmer of fortitude ignited deep within me, forcing me to press on, yet, through the storm's chaos and my futile search, I felt a tugging at my core, an empty echo. My heart wrestled with an unbearable ache. Maybe the real storm stormed within her, stronger than any shadow lurking beyond. With every scream, every pleading cry slipping from my lips, I could see the storm's grip tighten around me. The shadows shifted and twisted, creating a grotesque ballet of despair. And just when I thought hope was a distant flicker, a blinding flash lit the night. In that stark illumination, a figure stood within the chaos, held aloft by an unseen force. A cloud of shadows danced around her, and there, illuminated in stark contrast, was Lucy. Her eyes met mine, and the frantic energy in my chest exploded, but it was the pain in her expression that froze my blood. That I took a step forward, as if to bridge the distance between us, but the moment shattered when shadowy tendrils shot out from the depths, coiling around her wrists like iron chains, pulling her back into an abyss that loomed behind. "Jason!" She screamed, her words filled with the weight of despair, echoing in the storm like the final toll of a distant bell. And as I grasped for her, fully aware that the storm was about to consume us both, a new, chilling realization struck me: the shadows weren't just after her. No, they were after me too. I stood on the precipice of my fears as the storm howled around us, Lucy's cry reverberating through the chaos like a siren's call amidst crashing waves. Time folded in on itself, each moment stretching painfully, urging me to act, to reach her before the shadows claimed her entirely. The weight of despair pressed heavily upon me, but a deeper, brighter emotion flickered within, a fierce determination that refused to be drowned. "Lucy!" I shouted again, tears mingling with the rain, each droplet heavy with the promise of something greater than myself. I couldn't allow the darkness to steal her away. I was no longer willing to be a bystander in this storm. With all the strength I could muster, I charged forward, my heart beating a wild rhythm that resonated through my veins. The shadows writhed and twisted, a malevolent fog that encircled Lucy, seeping into her spirit, tainting all that made her who she was. "I won't let you take her. Get away from her!" I yelled, the words spilling forth with a ferocity I didn't know I possessed. As if fueled by my own defiance, the storm responded, the wind swirling as I closed the distance between us. I could see the panic in Lucy's eyes, reflecting the tempest of emotions swirling within me. She was more than just my first love, she was a piece of my soul, and whatever dark force threatened her, I would confront it head on. She glimpsed my approach, her features twisted with urgency and worry. "You shouldn't have come," she screamed, the weight of the storm wrapping around her voice. "It's too dangerous. I want to let them take you too. Before she could finish, a shadow lunged from the depths, sharp claws glistening, furious and eager to snatch away the light. I reached Lucy just in time, grasping her wrist, and with an instinctual pull, I reversed her downfall, holding her beneath the weight of the tempest while our breaths mingled, fighting to break through the spirals of darkness. Just trust me, Lucy. I called, our eyes locking fiercely in that moment. We'll face this together. I swear I will protect you. She hesitated, but then a flicker of something broke through her fear, the trust one had once seen so clearly in her gaze. With a frantic tug, I pulled her to me, and as our hands entwined, I felt a rush of warmth surge between us, a life force igniting like a match struck against the cold. Together, I repeated through ragged breaths that in that unyielding moment, something extraordinary sparked to life within the storm, a fierce light that ignited through the tendrils of shadow creeping upon us. It pulsed golden, enveloping us in a cocoon of strength and clarity as we formed a barrier against the chaos. The shadows shrieked, recoiling as the light surged forth like an unrelenting tide. I felt it radiate from our joined hands, lifting us higher, breaking through the walls of despair. As the storm raged, the shadows thrashed violently, and we transcended the storm's chaotic chorus, our spirits merging into a symphony of hope. I could feel every doubt, every fear receding into the background. The shadows could growl, but together we would roar back. Believe. We shouted into the storm, a unified cry that echoed through the dark and swirled into a circle of brilliant light. And it was then that I realized I wasn't just saving her, she was saving me too. We were intertwined, sharing strength, a bond forged in vulnerability that surpassed any darkness that sought to bring us down. The creature lunged again, but the light ignited a fierce barrier, bridging the shadows and illuminating the path to our escape. I could feel Lucy's grip tightening, anchoring us as we pushed against the chaos together. Remember the laughter, Jason. She shouted over the roaring winds, her voice a beacon that pulled me forward. Let it guide you. And I felt it, a flicker of our past, laughter painting our memories, echoing amidst the storm. The joy we had shared, all the moments that had tethered our hearts, shone through the darkness like constellations lighting the night sky. I could almost hear it, her laughter, bright and clear, igniting hope within me anew. With renewed resolve, we pushed through the bluster, arms outstretched, until suddenly, everything fell silent. An overwhelming peace enveloped us. The light pulsed more prominently, encasing us in a warmth that bore no resemblance to what we had faced. The shadows thrashed and shrieked, but they began to wane, retreating in fear as the light gathered strength. Our surroundings shifted, the storm that had felt so omnipotent dissolving into the background until, at last, we were standing upon solid ground together, defiant and unyielding against the remnants of darkness. Breathless and euphoric, I turned to Lucy, whose face glowed with a radiant light that mirrored my own. Her smile was more wistful than I remembered, a mixture of relief and joy that threatened to flood my heart with tenderness. Thank you, she whispered, reaching out to cup my face in her palms, the warmth of her touch igniting my very being. You fought for me. And in that moment, it crystallized within me, the tears of gratitude flooding my eyes, the essence of love and bravery coalescing into a singular realization. No, Lucy. We fought for each other. It was a beautiful truth, one I could carry with me forever, a moment of clarity that breathed life into all the moments we had shared. As we stood, surrounded by a shimmering glow that had vanquished the shadows, I knew that together we had transcended not just the storm, but the fears and secrets that sought to tear us apart. We had confronted the darkness, reaching for the light in unity, and in doing so, we had birthed something unbreakable. In a world where everything seemed fleeting, I held one undeniable truth close to my heart: love conquers all storms. With one simple pledge, whispered through the downpour around us, I'll always find you. And as we turned to face the horizon, sunlight breaking through the remnants of the storm, I understood that this new beginning was ours to shape together, forever held by the laughter that echoed in the winds, the laughter that would lead us home.